Have you ever had one of those moments? Maybe it's late at night, after hours of overtime, or on the trek back from a grueling business trip. You look out the window with the people next to you, and suddenly, the whole world feels incredibly quiet. It happened during a trip to Japan. For days, we had been bouncing between some of our most demanding clients. Everyone was completely wired, stressed to the max, and running on pure fumes. Finally, the afternoon of our flight back arrived. We were at a cafe in Narita Airport, sinking deep into the leather armchairs, waiting for our boarding call with a few cups of black coffee. Outside, a steady grey rain was washing over the tarmac. That's when Howard, sitting right across from me, looked out the window and let out a heavy sigh. He turned to look at the rest of us, a rare softness in his eyes that you would never, ever see in the office. "Hey, honestly," he said, "moments like this, when you're just dead tired, it feels really nice to have friends like you guys around." Friends? At that exact moment, I was just about to take a sip of my coffee, and I froze. I looked at Howard. Back at the office, he's a meticulously precise, sometimes rigid project manager. I respect his work ethic, but truth be told, if I ran into him on the street over the weekend, I'd probably just nod politely and walk the other way. Yet, he had just used the word friends. I swallowed my coffee, forced a smile, and played along. Yeah, definitely. But deep down, it felt like a tiny needle prick. A question I'd been avoiding for a long time crept back into my mind. These people I see every single day, the ones I fight alongside in the corporate trenches, are we actually friends? When you break it down, there is a fundamental, almost brutal difference between a coworker and a friend. It's not about whether you get along, or whether you enjoy grabbing drinks to complain about the boss. The real test is this. If you decide you don't like them, can you choose to cut them off tomorrow? Unless you're the CEO, or independently wealthy and ready to hand in your resignation tomorrow morning, you don't have that luxury. As ordinary corporate drones, we don't get to choose who we deal with. No matter how much you dislike the person at the next desk, no matter how passive-aggressive they are, or how quickly they throw others under the bus in meetings, at 9 a.m. tomorrow, when the elevator doors open, you're going to see their face. You will still have to paste on a smile and say, "Good morning." Tomorrow, the next day, and next week, you will still be tethered to the same project, forced to make it work. But friends? Friends are an entirely different story. You actually want to give up your precious weekend hours for a friend. You go out to a nice bistro, or go camping together, and on the drive home you feel genuinely happy. You look forward to the next time. Conversely, if someone drains your energy or your values don't align, you are completely free to drift away. You reply to their texts a little slower, you miss a few calls. The next time they invite you out, you can casually say, "Sorry, I've got a busy weekend ahead." That is the true boundary. Friendships are built on free choice. Coworker relationships are built on a contract of survival. Because we can't simply walk away, everyone in the office becomes a master of the masquerade. We learn how to wear masks. It's not about being fake or deceitful. Most of the time, it's about self-preservation and protecting others. We know that everyone has a raw, unfiltered, and sometimes deeply flawed side. But in the workplace, letting that side show can make people uncomfortable. And once friction is created, collaborating on the next project becomes a total nightmare. So, even when you're angry enough to flip a table, you take a deep breath and say, "Understood, I see your point." Even when you think a proposal is absolute garbage, you nod politely and say, "That's a really creative direction." Beneath the mask, the stakes are just too high. Promotions, KPIs, performance reviews, salaries. These are the invisible strings pulling at everyone. But with true friends, you don't need that precise choreography. In front of a friend, you can complain loudly about how messy your life is. You can cry like a child, or you can laugh so hard it's ungraceful. You can do that because you know there is no transactional baggage between you. If it works, you stay. If it doesn't, you part ways. Ironically, it is the freedom to walk away at any moment that makes friendships so beautifully authentic. So, does that mean co-workers are doomed to be nothing more than acting partners for life? That feels a bit cynical, doesn't it? Not necessarily. It is possible for co-workers to become real friends, but it can only happen when you both hand over the key to that free choice. For instance, maybe you work at the same massive company, but in entirely different departments with zero overlapping responsibilities. Your lunches aren't about talking shop. They're just because you genuinely enjoy each other's company. That's when the seed of friendship starts to grow. Or perhaps one of you leaves the company. The moment they pack up the little succulent on their desk, hand in their badge, and walk out those glass doors, you are no longer links in the same corporate supply chain. You're no longer competing for the same promotion. When both of you finally have the freedom to choose whether to get closer or to lose touch completely, that is when you finally have a chance at a real friendship. The texts that stay after that, those are the ones that matter. Back in that leather armchair at Narita Airport, that day, after listening to Howard's heartfelt words, I looked out at the rain streaking down the window. I smiled to myself and thought, Howard, I really value what we're going through together right now. But maybe, just maybe, it's because we aren't close enough to be completely unfiltered friends that we can maintain this perfect balance of politeness and grace and use it to get through this brutal trip together. There's an old saying, the best distance to keep with a coworker is a healthy distance. It sounds cold, doesn't it? But sometimes, keeping that distance is the deepest form of kindness you can offer each other. Tomorrow is Monday again. When you walk back into that office and see those familiar faces, maybe take a second to tell yourself, we are great partners. And that invisible line between us, let's gently and kindly leave it right where it is.